welcome Mark Steinberg.
Thank you, Samantha. Thank you. And good evening. Thank you for being here. For me, it's a privilege to have your time and my time spent on a journey into the fascinating aspects of human development, all in the context tonight of consciousness. Consciousness is the new currency, the Sunday Times recently wrote. My passion is to provide a space for people to experience life again with the freshness what we had when we were still young. The mind makes things naturally quite old. We deal with the mind a little bit later, we come to that. But there is an innocence and a freshness available, regardless of age, regardless of social status, regardless your past, whatever you have experienced. That is that when suddenly we experience life as something beautiful, an opening, an opportunity. Not a burden, not something to struggle with, not something to get over with. And to bring back that state is one of my passions. The other one is to teach people the art of coaching. Not so much so that they can make it a career, and they can, but rather because I know with coaching you actually have a most powerful tool to make all the relationships in your life work. From the most significant other to the relationship at work, if you're a parent, to your children, etc., etc. I'm going to touch on coaching a little bit later in the evening as well. In order to get the best out of an evening like that, let me spend a few minutes on making some remarks on the setting. By the nature of a presentation, I'm the one who speaks the most tonight, and easily that can be then trigger a setting like a lecture. Well, a lecture isn't bad. However, what I prefer is a nature of an inquiry. An inquiry is that we are somehow on the same level in a partnership. Of course, I present themes and I ask questions. But from your perspective, from your position, I'm not the master or the authority. That incapacitates you, and best of all, you could leave with beliefs or faith or whatever it is. I think it's second best, if at all. If you are just coming from like a scientist, like a friend, a question, and then you look what you see. And that's important. Why? Because what you see can get an insight for you. Now, an insight is very different from understanding. Understanding you can do in the mind. An insight is something you see. And when you understand something, then very likely it's second-hand knowledge what you agree to. Second-hand my knowledge or knowledge you know and you agree to. But make no mistake, your ego sooner or later will reject that. It's like a splinter of wood you have in your finger. The body rejects it. That's why the best ideas you hear, sooner or later you can't live them because your ego takes over, because you haven't seen it with your own eyes, you only saw it through the eyes of the teacher. And so it requires from you simply the choice never to fall asleep, never to believe what I'm saying, but rather to inquire, to take a look with your own eyes and to see whether that's so. The condition for you not getting stuck in your own knowledge and just being in an argument with what you hear tonight would be only an empty hand can receive. That is the old Zen wisdom. Now that would require from your side to be open that some things you don't know. I know it's a difficult one for the ego sometimes. On the other hand, it's a strength of the student to be open to learn something new, and it might be in contrast to what you know, but then again, be a researcher. Park what you know, don't drop it, just park it and explore the new idea, explore the new things that might be presented to you. And then see what makes more sense. See how, with the new ideas, live your life a couple of days and see how it works. If it works better, cool, then make your choice. If it doesn't work, go back to what you had before, also not a problem. Receptivity is what I'm talking about, is key for getting the best value out of tonight. And where I'm speaking from is to create tonight such that when you leave, you really have seen some new things. That would be the most beautiful result what I could wish for. When we talk about consciousness and human development, there's always very close the theme of the truth. The truth. Yeah? And I want to just share my perception on the truth, that we're not going to have a misunderstanding here. I don't believe that the truth can be owned by any individual or organization. I believe the truth was always there, is here, will always be there. It's always complete, and it always was like that. So, I compare it with an analogy of, for example, the 8 letters you see on the screen. Let's say, just an analogy, that this represents the truth. So when you find the truth, you will find 8 letters. But you can't use them. So what did people do who found the truth? They tried to make sense of it. They tried to arrange it so it becomes practical and workable for human beings. So how can you arrange the 8 letters? Well, you can start arranging it, for example, in this way. So you did not take away anything from the truth, you did not manipulate it, you did not add something of your own stuff. It's still pure, 8 letters, but arranged. Now that word reaction, for example, has a particular vibration, it has a particular possibility inherited, etc., 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 but you might not be happy with it. So can you look for a different arrangement? Of course you can. If you're not stuck on fanaticism with regard to reaction, that particular arrangement of truth, then look out for what else can you do with it, all right? Then, for example, you take the C, you put it in front, and you got creation. So remember, it's still the truth, it's pure. It's still 8 letters, nothing taken away, nothing added. A different word, a different vibration, a different possibility. And that's my perspective on the truth, that religion, spiritual systems, etc., whatever they found, they made a particular arrangement. And it is now for the arrangement to prove its validity, as in, does it actually change relationships, how people relate to themselves, how happy they are they thinking more holistically, etc., 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 whatever your parameters are. So that's for me how truth is, how I experience it and where we come from. What we present to you tonight is a lot of science, but I'm not going to go into the full depth of it because you can Google it if you're particularly interested in what we talk about the brain, etc., etc. However, the findings of the material what I present tonight is based on science, on neurology, brain science, ontology, the science of being, psychology, etc., etc. You may ask, well, it's all interesting, and that consciousness thing, I'm happy to listen to it for an hour, hour and a half. But actually, what's the relevance of consciousness to the daily life? The relevance to your relationship at home and the challenges in there. The relevance of your career dreams, or the relevance to the health in your body. The relevance to the bank account, and so on and so forth. And I say, well, it's not a difficult thing to look at. Just start with your life. What you have right now is a consequence of what? So what you have, I mean all the people who are in your life, the people who are not in your life, the possessions in the material world you have, your money, your property, your clothes, your furniture, everything, the security you have, and so on and so forth. So everything what is the reality of your life. How did that come to this point? Well, obviously through your actions, right? Your actions are creating the results. I know it's very banal for some of you, but just bear with me, I'm going to get someplace with it. So your actions create the results. Before the actions, what comes? What would you say? Before the actions comes what? What determines the actions? Thoughts. But okay, let's take that. If it's a thought, can you have a thought and not act on it? Sure, right? So what's between a thought and action? Choice. But can you choose something and still not do it? Commitment. Commitment. Okay, so prior the commitment and the decision happens what? We just heard thoughts, but that's not the only thing that's there. What else is there?
A plan.
Say again?
A plan.
A plan would be structured thought. It still would be thinking. Come on, ladies.
Feeling.
Thank you. Feeling. Yeah? So what we're saying is that feeling and thinking is there. From there, you process and then you may make a decision. If you make a decision and you follow up on that, that leads to action. The action then is successful, yes or not, or in some way, and that leads to a particular result. That's what you got. That thinking and feeling in the full scope we are addressing. That means from subtle thoughts to strong intellectual, logical thoughts when you need to make a decision about signing an insurance contract or something like that. And from the feeling side also, the full scope. That means from a strong desire, I have to have that car or I have to have that person. I can't live without them. Strong desire or a subtle feeling of intuition. I don't know, but maybe tonight I should not go there and I can't explain it. I just have a gut feeling. So the whole range and the combination of thoughts and feelings is going on. And that leads then in the consequence of decision-making action to the results you have. So what I'm saying is that the life you have today, as it is a or started out always as a thinking, feeling process. Yeah? So if you want to have a different future, then you would need to have a different thinking and feeling, right? Because otherwise, you are one of those who fit the description of insanity, according to Rita Mae Brown. She says insanity is doing the same things over and over again, expecting different results. You probably have heard that quote before. But many of us, when we really take a look at our lives and are not in defense and all the rest of it, we say, hey, yeah, yeah,